Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Riley Smith Show. Thank you for joining us again. I know the last episode came out 13 days ago, or at least 2 weeks ago. Don't be mad at me. And I know you've been dying for more of this content because it is some of the most premium content that you can get. I may be the greatest orator of our generation. I'm very pleased to be with you again. I don't expect to have another 2-week break. But it was finals season, so cut me a little slack. And somebody who has also taken his last final exam, Criston Cade, is with us.
Finally, a guest of color.
A guest of color. Many of you have criticized me for my lack of diversity. You say Jed is a new age paleo-conservative white nationalist, and Jack is a Nazi. And both of those things are true, but they're not my only friends. I also have Criston, who has likened his personal views to being slightly more extreme than Candace Owens. So I think that you'll find what he has to say very enjoyable as well. Last episode, we went through, I also made a big mistake last episode. Last episode, we were reading advice from the advice column of the Washington Post from the writer, and I kept calling her Carolyn Flax. That is not her name. Her name is Carolyn Hax, which is worse. It's clearly worse. Hax is not even a last name. It's H-A-X. But like I said, if you want to get good advice, you'll keep coming here and tell me your problems. If you want to get watered down advice that won't be removed from the internet because it doesn't violate local or federal law, then you can go to Carolyn Hax. So this episode, we're not going to do that the entire time again. But I was scrolling through the column today, and I saw a couple of people write in, and I had to get your thoughts on some of these. All right, so people write in weekly to this column with their issues, and this lady responds. What I did last week is I gave my response, and then we compared it to her response, and then tried to adjudicate which response was better.
All right.
So we're gonna hit you with the first one here, and then also, I don't know how good these mics are. You may have to bring it closer to your mouth when you talk. I don't know.
All right.
Okay, first advice column. There may not be room to pop it up. We may not pop it up this week. We don't do a lot of production work. I spent more time than it was worth trying to put that in last episode. No one really seemed to appreciate it. So we may not do that ever again. But if it is hard to follow along, then we will. Here we go. Is it ever a good idea to be completely honest about why you broke up with someone? I recently broke up with a guy I had been dating for a few weeks after finally seeing his apartment. It was a mess. Rumpled, unmade bed, dirty bathroom, messy kitchen with sticky countertops and dirty dishes in the grimy sink. We had planned to sleep over, but I faked a headache to get out of it, since I couldn't possibly spend the night there. I figured a man in his 30s who knew I was bringing dinner over and saw nothing wrong with the state of his place is not going to change. So I ended it. Since we broke up, he is asking, what did I do wrong? Or what did I do wrong? Saying things like, we were going so well, etc. It would be super unkind to say you are an unpleasant slob, but for some reason he jumped to the conclusion that I thought the sex was bad. Actually, the sex was great. But not even great sex could convince me to put up with the owner of an apartment like this. So maybe it would just be better to level with him. What do you think?
First of all, she's a shallow bitch.
Correct. Thank you. I told you you'd like him.
Now, okay, my first thought is, okay, how long have they been together?
It doesn't even say.
But
this is the first time she's been to his apartment, I guess.
I mean, if they have to have been together for a pretty decent amount of time for their breakup to merit writing into the Washington Post.
You would think.
But she needs to get over herself, okay? Because, I mean, this man has invited you into his place of living. He's given you some top shelf dick, apparently.
Right. She makes a point to be like, the sex was great. So
but you can't get over the countertops and the sink. bitch, kill yourself. All right.
Yeah, good. I think that's going to be very similar advice to the advice that Carolyn Hacks gives. I will point out that her faking a headache to get out of there, I mean, like, that's a terrible way to get out of it. Like, oh, I need to drive myself home. My head hurts. Right? Wouldn't it just be like, oh, well, like, just stay here and like, don't, like, aren't you supposed to like not drive if you have like a migraine or something? Isn't that like not the right thing to do? So, I mean, she's bad at making excuses. She seems pretty shallow. Although, if his apartment was like an episode of Hoarders, like I'm talking like you had to like move shit around to like take your next step, like really fucked up, then like I mean I would probably break up with somebody over that. I mean I can't live in those kinds of conditions. But Carolyn Hacks, we'll get her take on this. In this case, there's a clear argument for telling him because he jumped to a conclusion that will mess with his head and because he's so far off from the real reason. This guy's no shining star either. He goes, oh, you broke up with me? Was like the sex not good? I mean, like, he's like, well, everything else was clearly perfect. So, like, it must be the sex. So, I mean, this guy kind of sounds like an idiot to me, too. She says, to answer your very broad opening question, yes, there are plenty of times it's a good idea to be completely honest. And on the other end of the scale, there are times when it can even be dangerous. It is a case-by-case thing. Time matters. Blah, 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 blah. And she goes on and be like, I don't know why I couldn't put it together. I mean, I don't know. Maybe... she like there's like a whole thread of this. She at some point mentions that like the guy is like in his like late 30s. I don't know how picky you're allowed to be as a woman, because if she's like around the same age, then like you're running out of chances for love. You're gonna have to like make some compromises, and I don't think Carolyn is very clear about that. Clearly you are something's wrong with you. You're unlovable, right? You've been through, probably a number of relationships at this point. No one has decided that you're worth committing to. Or even worse, you have such a self-inflated view of yourself that you've decided no one is worth you committing to. And that's probably more likely the case here because this guy's apartment was dirty. It probably wasn't even that bad. And then she had to break up with him and be like, oh, it was great sex, on to the other great sex, and I'll find some like small reason. Okay, so let's get deep. There's Runaway by Kanye West.
Yeah.
He goes, and I always find something wrong.
Yeah.
That's this bitch. This bitch is going to just find something wrong. She's scared of commitment. There's deeper psychological issues going on out there. The general population is insane. The general population has lost their mind. The idea that you're going to be able to date somebody in this state of the world as somebody in your late 30s is laughable, especially when you're going to like pull the rug out from under somebody because you don't like the condition of their apartment. You notice how she didn't say home. No one can afford a home. Everyone is barely alive and screaming and everything's on fire. So if you want to find somebody to settle down with before the fall of the Union, I suggest you be a little more willing to deal with the differences that you might have with some people. That's my advice to this listener or this writer. I can all but guarantee you she does not listen to this program.
Not to mention that if it feels a bit extreme to just totally break up with the guy at the first time you see his apartment, as opposed to at the very least being like, damn, this place is a shithole. She could have done that first. I'm sure he would have been much cooler with that than for her to just break things off. And he's like, damn, is my dick whack or what?
Yeah, I mean, that can mess with you. But, I mean, you would think he'd be smart enough to realize that there'd be other things going on. It's pretty easy to evaluate how good you are at sex with somebody, right? Like, if you've done it, like, more than one time.
And I can't imagine his apartment really being that bad, because people that really live in shitty places like off that show, Hoarders, like it's reflected in how they carry themselves, how they dress, so forth. Like all their clothes would be dingy, this, that, and the third. But this guy, I mean, she's trying to paint out as, I don't know, like a fucking toddler.
Yeah, she's being rather infantilizing. So yeah, we're not a huge fan of this woman. This is the takeaway. We're not a huge fan of this woman. But caveat, if this guy's apartment was so bad that human life was like unsustainable inside of it, then maybe she has a point. And I doubt that's the case. The more likely option is that she has deeply rooted psychological issues that will continue to enable her to blame other people for small quirks that she deems unworthy of her commitment, and that will drive her into perpetual loneliness and isolation, in which she will ultimately acquiesce and take her own life. We do not wish that for her, but she wrote in asking for advice. This is our opinion. You put it on the internet. I'm helping you. You're welcome.
This is a road she paved for herself.
It is. So the other one that I thought, not all, the ones, I didn't realize how good the ones we did a couple weeks ago were, because some of these were like bland and sad. All the ones we did a couple weeks ago were like ridiculous. But this one I thought was decent. So it goes, my sister and her husband are wealthy and love to share their fabulous trips and parties in our family group chat. She recently posted photos from a birthday celebration with champagne toasts, etc. Not sure who she's trying to impress since the family doesn't respond. But now she is texting me that her husband has dementia and is getting lost in the neighborhood and will likely need to hire a full-time caregiver. She sent this only minutes after her group chat brag. Do I call her out? What gives?
Okay, first of all, there's so much to unpack there, because on the one hand, she sounds fucking jealous about the shit that her sister gets to do and see and all that, but on the other hand, she kind of sounds like a snake, because apparently the sister's warning. This is the sister, right?
Yeah.
The sister seems like the sister was privately wanting to like come to her and say, hey, I've kind of got an issue going on. What do you think I should do? But instead, she wants to just fucking blow all this up and try to make her sister out to be this fake bitch or whatever.
It's clearly rooted only in jealousy. This woman has, she goes, I guess they're old family. And she's in some group chat that she probably doesn't realize she has the ability to leave. She doesn't know how to use her phone. And so she's getting pictures from them probably somewhere like, I mean, what does she say? Share their fabulous trips and parties. They probably like rented an Airbnb in like Myrtle Beach. And then she like is like, oh yeah, you're going to rub this in my face? This woman's probably a medical biller who spends most of her salary on alcohol and cigarettes. That would be my suspicion. I mean, I doubt that if she's worried about the possibility of having to hire a full-time caregiver, I don't know how much money they actually have. So they probably take an annual vacation to somewhere within the United States, and this woman is willing to throw that in her face when her sister comes to her and says, my husband is deteriorating to at the end of his life, and it's becoming such a problem that I don't think I can handle it on my own. And she goes, you literally just sent me a picture of a champagne bottle. Like, you're fine. Like, stop. Thankfully, I think Carolyn is going to align more with most of us on this one. She says, call her out. What? Don't let your envy eat your humanity. Correct. Express alarm / sympathy / dismay and ask how she's doing. Definitely walk off some resentment first if you must. I don't doubt the travel pics were insufferable, and this is clearly a grudge of long standing, but a birthday with champagne toast, so what? Correct. Picking that out as a group chat brag tips that wherever this started, it has become more about you than anything else. Damn. Carolyn,
Get on her ass,
yeah,
Carolyn.
Carolyn's doing a great job. Ooh, I can like these posts. I'm gonna like this one. That, and wanting to shove your sister's husband's dementia back in her face. Yeah, I mean, this woman's insane. I can't fathom that she reasonably believed the advice would be like, yeah, call her out. You've put up with this for too long. Like, destroy. Like, you know what you should do? You know what you should do is you should go to their house, pull up and tell the husband it's time to go on a field trip and drive deep into the woods. It's time for you to get even. All right, all these shit trips to places in the coastal Carolinas. I know have been driving you insane.
How dare she drink champagne?
Time to kill someone. Yeah, I mean that's just,
jealous bitches.
Yeah, a lot of jealous people. But yeah, that's all we're going to do for this segment. It might be a featured segment. I gave you a lot of good advice last episode, and you've had 13 days to implement it. So if you are a loyal listener out there, I suspect that things in your life have gotten largely better if you listen to the podcast. Really, everything I said in that episode could be applied to a litany of situations in which you could then solve your own problems. So, I'm a fantastic advice giver, and I should be given a medical license to do it professionally. But yeah, so other crazy things. I'm not going to talk about Iran anymore. I'm sick of it. I've talked about Iran enough. When we started this podcast, we had just killed the supreme leader. That is still the most exciting thing that's happened. It would take probably a nuclear bomb going off at this point to get me interested again. This is no longer a show I want to watch. It's boring. Trump knows reality television. He knows people are bored. That's why he has a ceasefire and keeps attacking, and they keep, attacking ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and they go, oh yeah, no, this ceasefire is fine. So I think that's what's been going on for the past 2 weeks. If you come here for your news, I'll at least catch you up on that. We're still, firing military weapons at each other, but the ceasefire's fine. But in the midst of all of this, Trump has released a just huge amount of UFO files and saying the public can judge for themselves. It feels like strange timing to me, right? You were recently accused of killing, raping, and eating children. And then on the heels of that, you killed a foreign leader in a war that we had no business being involved in. The public has now entirely turned against the war. And then now he said, argue amongst yourselves about aliens. I mean, could it be a clearer attempt to distract the American populace? I think not. No one cares, and I'm glad no one cares. This has been, what a just weak tactic. We have seen worse attempts at this. But I'm proud. I'm proud of most of you, because most people don't even know this is happening and don't care. That's good. And I guess you would care if your life was stable enough to where, you had time to think about other things other than food and shelter. So that's kind of sad. But it's good that you're not, forgetting about the other horrors to fixate on UFOs. But yeah, I don't know. Do you believe in aliens, Criston?
I would say that since we exist, it would make just as much sense for other beings to exist, given the unimaginable scale of the cosmos. It's just a practically a mathematical certainty, if you want to apply the law of large numbers.
I tend to agree with you.
But as far as releasing these UFO files, it's just old hat at this point. Because, just in this term, he's released UFO files, the third time? Hell, last year, Mexico went and presented a fucking alien mummy.
I remember that.
Hey, look at this. And it still didn't work. At this point, it's almost like his distraction method is, don't worry about that. Dun, da, da, da. That didn't work. Da, 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 da.
Aliens. Yeah, I feel like if the aliens wanted us dead, because we're gonna presuppose that aliens exist. I mean, if the universe is infinite, aliens have to exist. I mean, there's just no way, right? Law of large numbers. Anything that can happen will happen. I mean, there's probably infinite dimensions and all sorts of crazy shit. But some of these aliens, I feel like, I mean, if they could kill us and they wanted us dead, we'd already be dead, is what I tend to think. But I mean, I've got to pop up this composite sketch that the FBI put together that's been released in some of these files. It's going to make you question your existence. You're going to see this and you're going to go, we're clearly not alone. There is intelligent life nearby. They're visiting this planet. They're likely controlling our government. They've installed themselves as undercover citizens within our societies and are manipulating society into bending to their alien will. There's really no way to deny that's what's happening. When you see this, we'll go ahead and pop this up for you. And yeah, I mean, you're going to be blown away. You're going to be blown away. Take a deep breath. Breathe. Everything's fine. Don't freak out. I know this is alarming. But everything's going to be okay. All right?
Why does the UFO look like a gas station boner pill?
This is exactly what it looks like. It looks like a rhino pill. It looks like a rhino pill. Oh, dude, you know what I was thinking about earlier that was making me, like, kind of question, like, existence and, like, who, like, what are we even?
What's that?
Men have nipples. Like, what is that about? And so I was, talking to ChatGPT today, and I was trying to get to the bottom of this. And I think I'd already heard this somewhere before, but essentially, nipples form in all fetuses before the hormones that then ultimately form your sex-determining genitalia take place. So you are going to just, it is a preset condition that if you're a human being, you're going to have nipples. But then I started thinking about my nipples, and I was like, they're completely, useless. They're only on my body because there was, a roll of the dice chance that I could have been a female. And I think that's very strange. I think it's weird that, we develop. And then I started, reading more about how humans develop. And you, start to grow a tail at a certain point, and then it, comes back in and then, turns into, your tailbone. So, but a tail actually forms in, all fetuses. And then this, weird, spinal arch thing happens, which is, consistent with, how fish form, gills. And so, and ChatGPT was just telling me, yeah, we came from, fish and monkeys, and everyone gets nipples. And, it was kind of freaking me out. It was kind of freaking me out. Because, we may, just for the sake of argument, we may not, matter at all. We're kind of a shit designed organism that may have come from monkeys and fish, and that would suck. That would suck. I like to think that, there's bigger things going on. But after learning today that we almost form gills and tails as, fetuses, and everyone just gets nipples off rip it's kind of been fucking with me a little bit. It's kind of been fucking with me a little bit.
Yeah, I have a habit of kind of going on really deep rabbit holes with science and stuff like that, especially with astrophysics and stuff like that. I went into this rabbit hole yesterday about what would happen if just for a split second the world were to stop rotating, and long story short, we would all fucking die.
Oh yeah.
Because so right now, say we are going at about 840 miles per hour rotating around the Earth. At the equator, it's about 1,000 miles per hour net speed.
Can you feel that? I guess not.
It's kind of like how you're not aware of how fast you're going when you're flying on a plane.
Right.
But if for a split second the world were to stop rotating because of inertia, us and everything else is going to fly due east from 840 to 1,000 miles per hour. So we'd all go splat like an egg on that wall.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It would be a complete annihilation of every living thing on Earth.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's all going on. And, like, this bitch can't even, like, actually listen to her sister's problems about her husband having dementia. Right. Like, I mean, when you zoom out, things seem to matter a little less. Right. You know. So what they're raping the kids? If the world stopped spinning, we'd all start flying in a particular direction. No, I'm just kidding. That's not good. But yeah, no, I was thinking about that like for most of the day, and I felt very, very primal. I felt like an animal. I didn't really feel like a distinguished being anymore. I was like, I just got nipples because like that's the blueprint. I'm just like a blueprint of a person, and just whatever happened in my mother's womb is what I am now. So, fun stuff, fun things to think about. Don't be alarmed at the image we just showed you about aliens. If they wanted you dead, you'd probably already be dead. Or maybe they're waiting for the right time to kill us. I don't know. But don't let that distract you from the cabal of elite officials in this country that are, child sex traffickers and needless wars where hundreds and thousands of civilians are brutally murdered, and that you can't afford anything, and that you'll never own a house. Don't stop thinking about that. Don't worry about the aliens. It actually might be nice. It might be nice to start thinking about the aliens, because then you could, you could channel all of your anxiety into something far less consequential, and that would keep you distracted long enough to where hopefully a chunk of your life wouldn't be plagued by fear. And then when you ultimately do die, at least there was that period where you were in deep psychosis about aliens and not how to pay your bills or take care of your family or own anything and things like that. So maybe what Trump's doing is good. Time will tell. Time will tell. This next article I thought would relate to you specifically and touch you near and dear in your heart, Criston, because you're a budget airline traveler. Many of you may know that a few weeks ago, I think maybe less than that, Spirit Airlines went bankrupt. They're gone. All employees gone. Airline shut down. All of the planes grounded. What say you, Criston?
Well, fuck. So, little context. When everything went to shit, Spirit was lobbying for a $500 million bailout. Okay, just like the bailout that Delta and the billions of dollars Delta and American got back in like 2021. All right, that didn't go the way they planned, and so now they are dead. This couldn't have come at a worse time. I've got to do a lot of traveling soon. And Spirit could have got me there $66 round trip. And Spirit, that's Old Faithful, all right? It's no bells and whistles. You know exactly what you're gonna get. All right, they will get you from point A to point B. Now, if you take for granted the Cheez-Its and granola bars you get complimentary on Delta, that's not the case of Spirit. That'll be $8 a piece. But we don't need that. You can have your snacks when you get to your destination. And if I'm being totally honest, I think fucking American and Delta tried to do some backdoor sneaky shit and privately lobbied against them getting that bailout. Because plenty of people if say they need to fly from DFW to say San Juan, Puerto Rico, all right, flying American, that's going to cost you about $600. Fly Spirit, $100 round trip. And so a lot of people would gravitate Spirit, like I would. All right, I'm going to miss those $60 round trips from DFW to Vegas. But with Spirit out of the way, now people have to fly on American and Delta. They sure as hell ain't going to fly JetBlue. The fuck is JetBlue anyway?
JetBlue is not a good airline. We still have Frontier and things like that. I will say I've never flown Spirit. I flew a budget airline one time, and I don't even know if it counts as a budget airline. It definitely was at least somewhat better than Spirit. Do you know of Allegiant?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah. So I flew Allegiant once. It was out of my control. It was for a friend's trip, and we took Allegiant. His aunt, I believe, booked the flights for all of us, which was very kind of her to do that. But, yeah, no, I didn't particularly like Allegiant. I never flew Spirit. Here's my thing. Too many people are flying anyway. Flying should be, for people that aren't completely destitute. Too many people are flying. You see all these videos of chaos breaking out on planes, and you have to wonder, if it did cost $1,000 to be on this aircraft, would these people even be here?
I mean, we used to be a proper country. People used to dress up for their flight, suits. Did. We would be...
Didn't the FAA director, say some shit like that when they were, complaining about something to do with flights? Yeah. He was like, oh, yeah, y'all are wearing sweatpants and stuff. Buddy, what are you talking about? No one... People used to travel when the plane was a novel invention. Yes. Now, they still crash more often, if not, the same amount as they crashed in the 70s or whatever. I don't have the data on that, but all of 2025 was every month was a massive air fatality. And so the FAA director insisted, you should be wearing a button down when you go, nose first into some field somewhere. It's a joke. It's a joke. I don't know what to do about the airline system, but too many people are flying. I don't like it. I don't mean to be classist, but you see all these airports backed up. Where are these people going? What are you doing? All these people can't be doing this for their jobs. People are taking needless trips and they're buying these cheap tickets. I mean, why didn't Spirit just charge more? How did you fuck this up? You charged them $8 for water, right? Why couldn't you? Was your plan to make up the cost of jet fuel by hawking Dasani to your patrons? Why didn't you just make the flights slightly more expensive? I mean, how did you fuck this up that bad?
I think with gas prices skyrocketing, that was the final nail in the coffin, and it just became unsustainable. Because you can only charge $33 per leg for so long before that's gonna come up and bite you. But
again, why don't you charge more money? I don't understand. But I guess if they charged more money, then people would have stopped buying the flights, and then they would have just went out of business maybe even faster.
They kind of took the same, or rather I should say, they tried to emulate a similar business model of what Ryanair has going on. As Ryanair is the go-to budget airline in Europe. And so with them, it's all right, first and foremost, our only responsibility is to get you there. You want to bring a bag, you're paying for that bag. You want snacks, you're paying for those snacks. Otherwise, sit your ass down, fucking fasten your seatbelt and go to sleep. And we'll wake you up when we get there. That Spirit tried to do that. Ryanair, they pull it off. All right, and they just keep on coming out with new routes to the most obscure fucking corners of Lithuania. Who the fuck wants to go to Lithuania? But right. Spirit, No. But I will say, to give Spirit their flowers, to be fair, they died having a record of never having a single crash nor fatality in the air. So,
Wow.
power to them.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Delta is still barrel rolling mid landing. So,
Yeah, that wasn't good. That wasn't good. I think they offered everybody like $10,000 to relinquish their like rights to a claim on that, and which I mean it was some nominal amount of money given the circumstances. But yeah, you know, American Airlines those are the planes that crashed into the trade towers, the World Trade Center. Sorry, fuck the Twin Towers. Either that or United. I don't remember.
United.
Or were they all United flights?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think so.
How did United like recover from that?
Oh, I mean, it took a while because their stock like fucking went down the toilet. For
A lot
while.
of people shorted the stock right before the attacks. Yeah, no. We all know 9/11. We don't have the official story, but I mean, maybe that's a topic for another episode. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how you recover financially from your planes killing the most amount of American citizens on U.S. soil ever.
Yeah.
I mean, not a good look financially. Not a good look financially. I mean, this other article I was reading, it seems like I've heard, so the immigration issue, it always seems like people are going, oh, like it's not working and they're just beating like one or two people in the street. This article is titled, Immigrants Are Giving Up Their Cases and Leaving the U.S. in Soaring Numbers. People facing the prospect of prolonged ICE detention are increasingly abandoning their claims for humanitarian protection and agreeing to depart voluntarily. So from January to March of this year, you had 80,000 plus voluntary departures. So, I mean, I guess it's working. I don't know what the numbers are. Like, is that a lot or not a lot? Like, I have no idea.
Wait, what was the number?
80,000 between January 2025 to March of this year. So actually I was thinking that was like 3 months, but that's like 15 months.
I mean,
that can't be a lot. Didn't he say there was like 10 million illegal immigrants?
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
I mean, and these people leaving voluntarily, I mean, those are probably the ones that we want to keep. And we're already feeling the pain of losing all these immigrants, because who else is gonna, have a road totally repaved or a bridge totally rebuilt in a week's time? Sure as hell ain't gonna be fucking Josh and Paul from down the street.
Yeah, it's not going to be the American whites who were all encouraged to go get 4-year degrees and not want to do trade jobs. That's a big part of the problem too, is that nobody in this country anymore wants to do any sort of like trade job or physical labor, because they were all taught like those are like, you don't want to end up like that. Like when I was a kid, like my parents would like, I mean, maybe it wasn't this egregious, but it was like the functional equivalent of this. They would like point at somebody, like doing construction and say like, oh, like you better stay in school. You don't end up like that guy. That guy's making probably more money than I ever will in my life. I mean, like the idea that we all needed to go to college, get 4-year liberal arts degrees, and then that was going to somehow, be good for the country is insane in hindsight. I mean, that's been terrible. I think higher education is one of the worst things that anybody's ever done. Is promoting just an oversaturation of higher education. Criston and I just finished law school, so it's a little ironic to be complaining about that. But I think, some of these degrees mean nothing. People go there, they learn nothing. And they get higher grades, and they're in a monoculture where all they're talking about is like the newest like liberal talking point. And I'm no champion for the conservatives, but if you've been to many places of higher education, you know that it's all largely liberal, and the conservative population is either somebody from the Westboro Baptist Church or Turning Point USA. So it's not a meaningful coalition against the majority at a lot of these institutions. But yeah, no, I think we're getting a lot of overly educated people who didn't actually learn anything. They think that like doing these jobs are beneath them, but then they end up working at coffee shops and smoothie places and whatever, right? Because like, what are you gonna do with your Latin communications degree, right? I don't know. A lot of it's a big waste of time. What did you study in undergrad?
I did political science.
Waste of time.
I would say, right? In retrospect, that should have been like my minor or something, and I should have majored in something like finance or something business related, because that would have given me more places to work at. Because hell,
I guess
Goldman Sachs used to recruit at Baylor's business school. Meanwhile, I'm shaking hands with the Czech ambassador, who, by the way, has a weak handshake, and I will never forget that.
Wow.
Like, you shake
World
a man's
leader.
hand, and you get this. Like,
a limp hand. Nothing is more unsettling in your hand than a limp hand. Even if it's like an older woman, like if you go to church and you like go to shake an older woman's hand and she just like goes like this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to like grab it and kiss it or like what. How hard is it to just do like a mild grip on somebody's hand? It's really not that bad. I don't get it. But yeah, no, business is a bunch of bullshit anyway. I did business administration and pre-law, which is another garbage degree. What am I going to do with that, right? The counter argument to that, though, is if you have a business degree, it becomes easier to apply to larger companies that need salespeople. They need marketing people or whatever. So if you have some sort of like general business degree, then you can get in those jobs that require a 4-year degree just for the sake of it. You clearly don't need a 4-year degree. You didn't learn anything. You're going to go in there and you're going to dial the phone. And you're going to try to sell solar panels before, the SEC investigates them for securities fraud and they go belly up and you're on the street again. That's your best shot with that. Or you sell cars. There's nothing wrong with selling cars. But, does that require a 4-year degree? No. Be good at what you do. But the problem is now is that a lot of employers think that, like, having a 4-year degree is, like, necessary to do some of the most mundane tasks. And so that's part of the problem, too. So I don't really know where this goes. I've predicted on this show on many occasions that the over-implication of artificial intelligence is going to eliminate essentially all middle-class entry-level jobs. And, like, it's just going to be it. And you're going to have to do trades, or you're going to have to be a brain surgeon. Like, there's really not a lot of in-between.
Because I don't anticipate Anthropic ever being that good at building up condominiums, but as far as things like financial planner or stockbroker, whatever, like AI already like has that shit down pat. But hell, even government, I imagine in the long run, AI is going to have a much bigger role, especially with Hegseth trying to bring in it's Anthropic, right?
They kicked out Anthropic from the Pentagon. We covered this on the show, by the way. If you've been following along, listeners, you know that we've been supplying you with the knowledge you need to succeed. Anthropic, they were in negotiations with the Pentagon, and they ultimately failed, and they ended up removing all of Anthropic out, and now they're bringing in OpenAI because Anthropic wouldn't give the Pentagon some version of the software that would allow its AI systems to be like wholly in control of like nuclear weapons.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which is an absurd prospect to begin with. The
Right.
idea that they want a non-sentient entity to have control over the most powerful weapon on this earth is just goes to show how ass backwards and retarded this administration is. Like we really have gotten to the point where the kingdom has let in all these clowns and now the castle's a circus. It's insane. It's to the point where you can't even really be surprised anymore with the next new bullshit Hexeth with a stupid ass flag handkerchief. Oh my god, that guy pisses me off.
Yeah,
God.
I mean, he's a lunatic. They don't care if you live or die. No one does. We've given up faith in this empire, and we've given up the faith of, like, I mean, most of these people who run these AI companies have no, like, they don't think, like, humans are special or anything. They're like, the next part of evolution, apparently it went fish, monkey, people, and then now it's going to be machines. They're like, yeah, like, the fucking, I pointed this out before, but, certain AI, like, I don't even remember who the fuck it is. Just believe me, kind of, I guess. Maybe don't believe anything I ever say. But somebody called another person who was against, like, the elimination of a ton of jobs by the implementation of AI. They were raising concerns with that, and then the person who was implementing or was for implementing the AI on that kind of scale was like, well, that's pretty specious of you. Like, why are you favoring the humans so much? And this is like another human saying that. And so it's very strange. It's very strange. Something's wrong. Something is going to go wrong. Things are going wrong. Hope is sparse. I don't want to live.
I
really.
cannot understand.
I would not kill myself. Don't let somebody kill me and frame me. Sorry.
It's gotten to where, like, there's got to be some sort of duplicity at hand with the government and AI at this point. Because, for example, okay, OpenAI as of now is valued at $840 million, despite never actually sold anything. How the fuck can that be the case? And yet, the U.S. government and the Pentagon continues to want this shit involved with our government. That I remember reading that they across all of the popular AI models, they gave them the same scenario, and I think it was like 85% of the time in the end of the scenario, the AI model opted for the nuclear option, which is insane. This is what we want to have control of our nuclear arms. Something that say, you know what? Since they don't want to figure shit out themselves, blow them the fuck up.
Humans are inefficient, right? If you're going to go, okay, what's the most efficient way to, govern the planet? AI is going to be like, well, humans really don't do much, like, except for, like, fight each other and eat shit and piss and sleep and consume all these resources and pollute the planet. If you don't care about humanity, the right thing to do is to get rid of humanity. I mean, objectively, other than for the sake of, like, ourselves, like, we're not doing anything good.
Seems like with our specialties just being eating, fucking, and killing, I mean, at this point, we're just bipedal wolves that know math at this point.
We are. Did you say bipedal? I think I've always said bipedal. That sounds a little close to... What if bipedal means bisexual pedophile? And I've been using it wrong this whole time. And it is bipedal. Fuck. Well, try to remember that. Well, let's talk about a happy article. A lot of these podcasts, I've said it many times. This is a show of positivity. This is a show meant to, maybe you've had a hard week and you go, you know what? Like, Riley's going to be talking about the silver lining and things. He's going to say, you know what? There is hope. Things are going well. They're going to keep going well. And you're a valuable person. So, keeping with that theme, which we've done all episode, here's an article titled, They knew they were dying soon, so they threw a party.
All right.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Living funerals, where people near the end of life plan and attend their own memorials, are becoming increasingly popular. I might pop up a picture here, but I might not because, I mean, I was going to try to make fun of this, and now it's going to become harder. Ember something last name at her living wake in Boise, Idaho. She gathered more than 100 friends and family members to celebrate her life. Yeah, so I mean, I guess these people have like terminal illnesses and they're throwing a party. That doesn't make much sense. Isn't it sad?
I mean, I guess like it's one of those situations where like you know the end is coming, okay? You can see the Grim Reaper headed your way. And so instead of beating yourself up about it, you just say, "Hey, fuck it. Pull me up a shot." And, you know, ball out. Middle fingers in the air.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. Hell, if doctor told me I got 2 weeks to live, then that means I have 2 weeks to fucking party as much as I can.
I think it's a little selfish. I think, you know, you're dying and no one really wants to like deal with you, right? Because you're a problem. You're going to bring the mood down. No one wants to be around you. But when you do finally die, they'll come to your funeral and they'll stand around your casket and then they'll go eat at a local diner afterwards and they'll, you know, maybe go, "She was a good girl. She was nice." And like that was it, right? But
I was just wondering how the post-mortem funeral was going to be. Because like at that funeral, are they going to be like, "Man, he really went out like a champ. That guy could really beer bong a drink."
yeah, I mean, I think you just have to like walk into the ocean after this. I think you have to like have it at the beach and then just like it starts storming and then you just slowly walk and disappear into like the storm in the ocean. I think that's what you have to do. Because you can't then just like have like an open casket afterwards.
Yeah.
That'd be very strange.
I mean, I feel like if you're going to have a living funeral, then once you finally do die, you have to be cremated. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you said, a little selfish for you to throw this
It is
big-ass
selfish.
party with all these people with the message being, "Hey, I'm dying soon." And just for later on, they got to see your fucking paper white ass in this casket and like, man, it's all over. We knew this day was coming. All right. Barrier.
Yeah, I think you just have to walk into the ocean. What if you like lived? What if you threw this party? And then what if somebody like with the popularity of this now, because they're saying it's becoming more popular, what if somebody like really like mentally sick, not like physically sick, was like, you know, they felt like really lonely, and so then they told everybody that they had cancer, and then they made them come to the party, and then they just kept living, and then they had to be like, "Oh yeah, like a new breakthrough in this, you know, new cancer drug is working well." Or like if that actually happens, like somebody who really is terminally ill throws this party and then like continues to live, it would be, I mean, you'd really kind of be mad at them, especially if you like went a long way for it and were like, "Well, I'll do this instead of the funeral." Like they said there was going to be an open bar. Also, if there's not an open bar at your living funeral, God, what are you saving the money for? Get an open bar. Get an open bar. Everyone gets hammered. That would be to just drink yourself to death. That'd really be a way to spite cancer. You'd be like, "You know what? I'm going to drink myself to death in one night at a party." That would be bad too. I mean, I thought this would be easier to make fun of, but I'm scrolling through all these pictures and it's kind of making me sad. And I'm like, oh, well, some of these people are like kind of young too. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess my actual opinion of that is that it's good. So, you know, you want to celebrate your life. You're dying. You don't want it all to be sad. I get it. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. But yeah, so there's another beam of happiness for you, which is why you tune into the show. You know, we'll continue trying to bring you positivity every week. We'll continue trying to do that for you every week. I'm sorry that I missed last week. I know no one really cares, but I really came back with a good episode because I didn't have to talk the whole time. You got to hear somebody else talk, and his opinions were better than mine were. So you're welcome. Criston will probably join us again for another episode in the near future. So stay tuned for that. It will be very exciting. Do you want to do one more column advice before we go, actually?
Sure.
Let's do one more column advice. We'll give the people some more slop. Which one of these is good enough for today?
Oh, man. I've really been babysitting my drink. Sorry. I'm better than this normally.
I mean, he should be in an institution for alcoholism.
Also, about the living funerals, let me just say, if somebody were to bring me to their living funeral and then come to find out they don't die in 2 weeks or whatever, at that point I'm like, all right, hit me up when this bitch does die.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be very strange. Like, you couldn't, like, then have another one because, like, you'd be like the boy who cried terminal illness.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, you bitch, I booked this flight with my miles. You know how long it takes to rack up miles?
It does take a long time. And now there's no spirit. It's fucking terrible.
You selfish bitch.
Mm-hmm. This is a strange one. But it says, "Hi, Carolyn. My question should be easy, but is hard." Wow, this person must be a real thinker. How can I justify distance from a family member who I strongly feel I was abused by, but have no concrete memory of said abuse? I don't know, maybe stop making things up. For what it's worth, I have very sporadic childhood memories, maybe a couple dozen from birth until high school graduation. How do you have a handful of memories from like 0 to 18? We'll just keep going. I'm in my 30s and have re-entered therapy after my spouse's encouragement. Yeah, I bet your spouse was on his hands and knees begging you to, like, get somebody to shut you the fuck up. And my desire to live a more complete life. Right, because therapy will help you do that. Throughout the process, I've began to learn how to actually define and process my feelings. And the ones being unearthed by one of my parents are ... awful. Wow. The official term being used is enmeshment. Yeah, you go to therapy, they make up words that allow you to blame other people. Isn't that fun? Maybe you don't deserve healthcare. But without examples I can point to and say, this is why I'm really struggling. I've tried to talk to this parent, but have gotten hostile responses. But without enough of a justification, I'm finding it difficult to distance myself. I feel like I'm being immature, probably, even though my attempt at putting up clear boundaries is met with ridicule or victimization. Basically, how do I make peace with feeling like an adult child of abuse without specific memories? So basically, how do I cut my family off because I have spidey senses telling me I was abused? I mean, maybe you were, and I'm really in the wrong for, like, judging you here, but don't people who, like, discover later in life that they were abused, like, actually remember it happening?
Yeah, because typically whenever you experience something that traumatic, especially when you're young, your brain will go into survival mode and try to block off with a brick wall that memory. But once you get older and you actually take the time to unpack that, the brain will release that memory, and you'll have a pretty good recollection of what exactly happened. It's not just gonna be some fucking hunch. I think Uncle Phil did touch me when I was 4. It's not gonna be like that. You're gonna remember it.
Yeah.
So either this bitch needs to go to the therapist more and unpack it, assuming it even did happen, or this bitch is fucking psychotic and
She kind of sounds like she's out of her mind. She only has a few memories. Maybe she was like abused horrifically, and we shouldn't be making fun of her. But I mean, a couple dozen memories. I don't know if I could think of a couple dozen. I guess insist at least 24. I don't know if I could think of more than that many things either, from like birth to high school graduation.
But hell,
It feels like plenty of memories to me.
seems like she can't really describe them any more than being a hunch. So either nothing really happened, or you, I don't know. I smell bullshit, and I'm curious if Caroline is smelling the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think, probably so. I mean, I'm skeptical of this woman. Let's see what Carolyn says. The memories aren't necessarily the thing, it's the treatment you received. I mean, probably. And if the response you get from a parent includes hostility or ridicule ever, she put ever in italics, then that suggests there's something very wrong with the parenting. I don't know. You could just be terrible. That's still a possibility. Just with that type of reaction. Even if a kid comes at a parent with, for sake of argument, I'm not saying you did this, a false accusation or a memory of an event that the parent remembers in a completely different way, the emotionally balanced response is one of concern. Maybe I remember this differently, but acknowledging the feeling still, I'm sorry you are in pain and for my part in it. Imagine if you were like, I think you like raped me, and you're like, I'm sorry for the pain I've got. That sounds like an admission. I think in court, I think a jury could come back with a unanimous guilty verdict if you went on record for like apologizing for the pain you caused somebody after they accused you of rape. I mean, okay. I want to understand better and make things right if I can. That's clearly another admission. Or our memories are different, but memory is not perfect. That is not an okay response to somebody. I mean, she probably was like, hey, like, I think you raped me. And they were like, what are you fucking talking about? That's like the normal reaction. And then she was like, God, you always do this. And like, oh, no. Like, I don't think anybody's handling this correctly. Mostly, I want you to know that I will listen. I guess that's one's not as bad. So the hostility you get now, plus the big blanks where your childhood memories will be, I'm glad you are treating these as evidence of past abuse as you would specific memories and are in treatment. I don't know. I mean, clearly she's saying the right response from the parent would have been to essentially admit guilt. I don't think that's correct. I would disagree with Carolyn there, although I don't get paid for this. So, I mean, maybe she knows something I don't. But yeah, no, I think that woman's insane too. We're gonna wrap this up here. I hope you realize the value of the content you just received. I hope after watching this, you know that you got a very accurate take on world events and tenable advice. I guess tenable is not the word I want to use. Tangible, maybe, advice that you can use in your own life. You can say, works hard. Don't accuse a parent of rape without actual evidence. These things, they go hand in hand. So I'm hoping that I was able to make your week better and your life better. Thank you for joining us again. We will try to have an episode out in a week. Probably. God save us. Good night, everybody.
Stay golden.
Stay golden.